Hello and welcome to the Evercade Retreat. Gene Joke here, and today I'm reviewing Another World from the Delphine Collection 1 for the Evercade. And of course I'll be placing it in my overall ranking of every Evercade game ever. Another World was developed by Eric Chahi and published by Delphine in November 1991. It was originally developed for the Amiga and Atari ST, before later being ported to just about everything. It's a cinematic platformer where you play Lester Chaikin, a physicist who is running some kind of experiment using a particle accelerator during a storm. A lightning strike results in, him ending up in another world, hence the title. What follows is a very visually driven cinematic adventure, where Lester must fight and avoid various aliens and, as he fights to survive in this hostile alien environment. Along the way he does make a friend and, you should go play the game, if you haven't already. There's no dialogue in the game, the story is told entirely visually or through the action, and I'd say the game absolutely nails that aspect of the storytelling. It's a game that's clearly inspired many other games since, and it's a game that's definitely left a lasting impression on me. It does an absolutely fantastic job of making you feel like you're in an alien world and that everything is dangerous. The visual style and the environment design is extremely evocative, the animation smooth, and I'd say in many ways the flat shaded look, the sort of vector polygonal look, whatever you want to call it, I'm sure there's a technical term, but whatever it's called, I think it's meant that visually it's held up better than it would if it had a more traditionally, sprite based look to it. Despite technically being of its time, there is a certain timeless nature to the art style. The sound, although generally quite sparse, is effective and complements the visuals pretty much perfectly. Now, as I'm sure as most people know, the gameplay doesn't hold up quite so well. It's actually a very short game which can be beaten in sort of 10 to 15 minutes if you know exactly what you're doing and you pull it off first time. But playing it for the first time it is quite challenging and will take you much longer than that, as you'll die many times before through trial and error you find your way through the game. What really stands out about the game is that it's not formulaic. The gameplay, I suppose in a certain respect, I'd say adapts to cater for the story rather than having the gameplay dictate format or structure to the game. Now, my own personal experience of Another World is I first played it on the Amiga. Although it's a friend's Amiga, I really only played up to you get the gun and you're shooting away out of the prison, didn't get much further than that. But as I said, the game left an impression, and I picked it up a year or two later when it was released for the Super Nintendo, and it was there that I finished the game for the first time, and I didn't play it again until the 20th anniversary edition came out in 2011, which was the last time I played it before getting it on the Evercade. It is a game that left an impression on me, although not for the gameplay. Much like many walking simulators that come out these days, it's all about experiencing the story unfold. Even though the gameplay doesn't really hold up today, the game itself does, because the gameplay was never its strongest element. Without Another World, there would be no Full Void, there would have been no Inside, there would have been no Ico, perhaps even no Metal Gear Solid, because the developers of all those, I believe at some point or another, have mentioned Another World as being one of their influences. I also can't help wonder if it had some kind of influence on the Half-Life series. But anyway, its influence is kind of irrelevant to the game itself in a certain respect. But I would say to anyone that hasn't played through it before, even if you found it a bit frustrating or irritating, it is worth persevering to see it through, even if it's just the once. As you can tell, it's a game I have a lot of nostalgia for, and ranking it alongside every other Evercade game on my growing list, I would have to place it above Full Void, but just below Bad Dudes vs Dragon Ninja. But honestly, I kind of want to rank it higher than that, but I can't really justify it. But anyway, that's it for this review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.